Gaelic J as Gael Erich.
Show Claare na Gael, as bevaliam shoh. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carselach.
I've heard tell of our Bobby Bob.
Here to present this bilingual programme, Claare na Gael, with part of it in the English language, as leis Perdelia G. Sagilg, and with another part of it in the Manx Gaelic, Chinyanamera, the mother tongue of Alun Fanning, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Durish. We've been looking at Chapter 4 of David Robertson's Tour Through the Isle of Man, published in 1794, describing his return visit to the island in 1791. He's been showing us something of Douglas as it appeared about 230 years ago. We didn't quite finish Chapter 4, so we'll look at the end of that and then move on. To Arthur Holmwood de Chorfúil gus a Vernin Lucy Westenra. Te gin de vein a share, as gede vel art de beggen fest lugan of rage, te might allure as te chi gold de value. Ach, te tjachtrach leer a han, egen allu van Helsing. We'll start with a jaunty song from Brittany called Bloavez Mad, Bonne Année, Good New Year, written and performed by JAFFRES. Tashu geis Jackrish Radio Vanning, Stasiun en Asjoen, vis Golder Skeliene was Doelish, Alun Vanning.
Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Bloavez Mad, buvons à la santé de ceux qui vont s'aimer, qui vont se marier. Bloavez Mad, chez nous c'est bonne année. Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Bloavez Mad, on chante au monde entier. Et de Brest à Pékin, à New York, à Sydney, la Bretagne nous dit bonne année. Minuit sonne, c'est 12 coups, c'est l'année nouvelle. Les gens chantent et c'est fou, embrassons-nous. Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Bloavez Mad, buvons à la santé de ceux qui vont s'aimer, qui vont se marier. Bloavez Mad, chez nous c'est bonne année. Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Bloavez Mad, on chante au monde entier. Et de Brest à Pékin, à New York, à Sydney, la Bretagne nous dit bonne année. Nous étions deux enfants, levés de bonne heure. Nous partions le jour de l'an, de porte à porte chanter aux gens. Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Bloavez Mad, buvons à la santé de ceux qui vont s'aimer, qui vont se marier. Bloavez Mad, chez nous c'est bonne année. Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Bloavez Mad, on chante au monde entier. Et de Brest à Pékin, à New York, à Sydney, la Bretagne nous dit bonne année. Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Pour la paix, l'amour et l'amitié, que le monde retrouve son humanité. Bloavez Mad, c'est juste bonne année. Bloavez Mad, les amis, bonne année. Bloavez Mad, on chante au monde entier. Et de Brest à Pékin, à New York, à Sydney, la Bretagne nous dit bonne année. La Bretagne nous dit bonne année.
a song written by Gérard JAFFRES in 2019 and called Bloavez Mad, a good new year. Gérard JAFFRES is originally from Saint-Paul-de-Lyon in Finistère, Prézizel, famous for its artichokes, actually. Anyway, no more seasonal pieces, I promise. Douglas had English half-pay officers and other gentlefolk of limited means who found that their money went further in the island. There were also debtors here, fleeing their creditors in Britain and Ireland, because the law at that time couldn't touch them here in the island, a situation not rectified until 1814. Robertson tells us this anecdote. Captain was a gallant veteran, who'd suffered and bled for his country in the wilds of America. Having there distinguished himself by cool intrepidity, at the close of that unfortunate war he returned with the troops to England, where he was soon afterwards reduced to half pay. With this pittance he retired to Douglas. His daughter, a young, beautiful and accomplished woman, attended him. Her beauty was softened by a pensive melancholy, arising from the perfidy of a wretch who under the most sacred vows had violated her honour. On their arrival they attracted attention. He was respected for his valour, and she esteemed for her beauty. Furry acrishalid, dwt yn olw van Helsing Rish Arthur. Fodlum tigle weinster de velu burrit mechion yn airtis. Eich, cor leshe myr, ons de chulio ach, de denke leshen ovreid. Tawas hawel le bioas a Keayrt shoh, as fuddy o gultai as Gael fe, eishach san aignied, de vel ulju oddus away, shen morte. Je minst die ulju treti slen. Bies graiach ord vegnus loos on the vaginted. Slenjat. Trevor Arthur ne Gael, high me backes and chamber. For Lucy na cadle de mila, ach, van tar nenelek na stroosje. Dat me fagen a chorjeed gleisige, gouds van glieuw ek giri. Egg en chauljavach van Van Helsing na hai, as Jean Urry de Geer. Van Bon de Welwood Riche Kudige Kron Jerg. Vrij me Jane Alu Morhanish. Great house munien, mechauna Kron Shen a scornach. Great house munien Jay. This is a popular song in Gaelic na Halbanau, Scottish Gaelic, Cailin ruinsa, and it's sung in this performance by CALUM KENNEDY.
Cailin ruinsa is llaman mograi, anger mochrise she cusper mogai, a minchin one song. Chile condai, o Cailin ruinsa is llaman mograi, o curmiola ser llaman mograi, ser rain mi suas ris na glaman go hard, an gnusha choai an ken agus bai, tis mi skia. Find me alive, dearest my own one, oh won't you be mine, so full of devotion, so modest and kind, my heart's full of longing and yearning for you, come close to me darling, you know I'll be true. Do you remember of songbirds, how sweet their refrain, midst fragrance of wild flowers bedecked by the rain. Cailin ruinsa is llaman mograi, anger mochrise she cusper mogai, a minchin one solish fi Chile condai, go Cailin ruinsa is llaman mograi.
bilingual version of the song Cailin ruinsa by CALUM KENNEDY. Apart from his successful recording, TV and stage career, CALUM KENNEDY also won the World Ballad Singing Competition held in Moscow in 1957. Hanelmi scrutachi fós dreger me, as PATTERSON ga mi taich der feesle bande. Keayrt skin a chuslin jugular rhoi, va der garlen, na rauw moor, ach na rauw gien vallen. Grauw manne jay dachen, ach van a oiren gien ben as kiaull, maar de bech glenna maag enjach. Chilirach henke dau de vodach a lot shoh na Claare bijwaan, Genus an ach son an chol falle bachtelsjen. Ach, ren mi correr soelen ai gelees ve jint, on a vod rid jane lid shen ve on. Vege kletten jabier ve vlug bait geskarliod, les je fool skrunnel ve van nina chol, de vergeelje de venit as vek, roosje gachlei falle. Well, as van Helsing, well, as mish genodem tiggle weg jay. Gias en alungsoes. Zijn thou gul back as Amsterdam nacht door they, tal joren as kujan shen tamigiri. Zijn Dutch tanachten on shoh, fud na he. They, David Robertson tells us, the veteran captain and his daughter, were everywhere received with a splendid hospitality, which the pride of the gallant veteran endeavoured to return and emulate. But this profuse generosity soon exhausted his finances, and ere his next half-pay could relieve him, he was arrested and imprisoned. Every frown of fortune the veteran bore with the dignity of virtue. His daughter's presence illuminated the horrors of a prison. With filial piety she mitigated his sorrows, and in her tenderness he forgot for a while the injuries of mankind. This, however, was a deceitful calm. For a few weeks revealed the daughter's shame, and brought the father's grey hairs with anguish to the grave. Being exquisitely alive to the honour of a soldier, his feelings couldn't brook the dishonour of his daughter. Under such a weight of misery he sunk. Yet, in his last moments, he tenderly embraced and poured forth blessings over his deluded child. Music collected from Sam Gilbert, who was the landlord of the Falcon Inn in St Morgan in Pidder in Cornwall in 1891, and that was noted down by the Reverend Sabine Baring Gould. It was played there for us by Mike O'Connor. Siodiw, stasiwn yn asiwn, radio fannin. As sé Claare na Gael tan Claare shoh, mish Robert Catin Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Her anguish was inexpressible. She buried her father, but didn't long survive him. Her frame was too delicate to support the anguish of her mind. She languished, she sunk, and at length sought in a better world that peace which had been denied her in this. Well, in the chapter heading, you may remember, this tale of the unnamed captain and his unfortunate daughter was referred to as an affecting story. Well, as is the way with this book, the next chapter also is prefaced by a preview of what he'll be discussing. Chapter 5, The Nunnery, Female Piety, Kirkbraden, Veneration of the Manx for their deceased friends, View of the country round Douglas, Advances of agriculture, Abundance of the island. And he starts off. At a little distance from Douglas is situated, in a most delightful solitude, the nunnery. Close by the modern building, and here we have to stop to think that, of course, this is the situation as it was in 1791. The current nunnery building wasn't built until 1823. As her naiden dot ligget en shiliad chindair sulvoi. Be bonder vry me. Shingen tan a bonder en share, us as mish. Frelara fut na hi. Gin shigger de valley na beerche de mai, as na wel weg burrori. Her naiden dou cadla fut na hi. Na san me fut much cadla, us as mish. Higgen back holiers vis possible, as esh, fotmudge Gael toiach der. Gael toiach der, doort me kreis a tail tau menel. Niemudge feathen maag dreggerei, as ren ne seirige soel. Henke bach tullach na san me as huggy a chion stiach ag a doris, as doorte lesh mer rawi trogit soos. Cunier, ti fo de churrum, mo vissu fageli as adi chidori, Ga Gino Carla de Heisach maag a shoh. Gael and Fairly Seward, Claare. And Hachtulai main fower. Vami ma hai ducht fut na hi, Marish Lucy. Ren yart and drug a cadly, jair soul, musha choleertes. Well, this now is the Manx traditional song Keayrt Vami Egg, but it's sung here by a singer from Lafayette in Louisiana. This is Beth Patterson from her album Caught in the Act.
Keayrt for me hard, as nish tamishan. Keayrt for the vermin and amag nish kanan, Kistan the Gilinagus Sarens Yurish Maran. So the grime my own has fuss the gray say, Keayrt hug me gride a benag, a half a gride over. Kistan the Gilinagus Sarens Yurish Maran. Vahabiri beke signs kahar mahara, Veskilina ban glenn a fada haslin, Kistan the Gilinagus Sarens Yurish Maran. Vehekol shven hekshen vikrar in yesuri, Haraus a coin secure, quite jadra hair, Kistan the Gilinagus Sarens Yurish Maran. The binds of a manor has a garish in my hair, the shoe for the vision, my harish my grey, Kistan the Gilinagus Sarens Yurish Maran. Trahabshin patching, Heinshin, wishing Claare, After this is Swiss, Hai Magas Yaimi Mohe, Kistan the Gilinagus Sarens Yurish Maran. Treffer me rosh nish monkili bag to hear. The pagga candil yaram, af nish kanan hi kohe. Kistan the kilina gesarens yurish friend.
Thank you.
Beth Patterson. She was at university in Cork in Ireland. Later, back in Louisiana with a group called the Poor Clares, she also sings Ushig Veg Rhoi, the Aranny Vai, and the Kirifo Niachta, and they include Three Little Boats in a medley. As Renny Dooston Sach Dugesach. Vi Gian de Vei Bioach Elia, Gesolerish Stedek Roshen Obreid. Va Gin Maek, as vi ledden de Vioid Manre. Ach dod mi fagen fenish jyn sted trogelú vi hurrens. Tredinch mi de benais de Westenra, der our fairly van Helsing chorsere dau, de vei ma hai doucht Mary, renny bunnes julde nai, as ish chit njart as a no adinek, as a gin mai. Ach, jas mi as rem mi erlus on a farar ljouwerem. Treven in a veilek neurligi son a nee, henk mi stjaag aan. Look thou edder en degre goil shibber. As hai mi she seg a chow javach. Gerenny pleint er bi nai shen. Ach, yichi arm les puis treer bi gau mi taaste der ouwe shilly arm. Lord tamelt jouwer ve jean der ouwe sing Gael ons kadla. Ach, les eb ve jean der ouwe koudely heen as krev oie. Hager shoh rish as rish cust de Keayrt. Close by the modern building, and we'll compare what Robertson has to say of the building with another description a little later on, is a venerable relic of the ancient priory, which, according to the Manx tradition, was founded in the 6th century by St. Bridget, when she came to receive the veil of virginity from St. Macald. From the pious celebrity of its foundress, the monastery was soon tenanted by female votaries, some of whom were compelled by parental ambition, while others were deluded by visionary joys to frustrate the benignity of nature by sacrificing their youth and beauty at the shrine of superstition. Yet, amid the gloom of this once hallowed spot, devotion might sometimes heighten the raptures of the enthusiast, or religion, with her heavenly balm, heal the wounds of the unfortunate. The prioress of Douglas was anciently a baroness of the isle. Her person was sacred, her authority dignified, her revenue extensive, and her privileges important. Well now, don't give up. That's the message from TECWYN IFAN, Paid rhoi fyny.
Glod, paid rhoi fyny ar y fori, ond cerdd ymlaen, cerdd ymlaen, nid gwag dy opaeth megis yr a ddoi, ond nid oedd yr ymdrech yn fwy na sioi, paid rhoi fyny ar y fori, cerdd ymlaen. A fydd ymdrech a ffaith, parter I fo craith, a nôl ag idw'r daith mwyau. Gres y fflamain, cresyn glodau, di'n dod yn ôl, di'n dod yn ôl. Tygaid yn pefrio grwtw y llwch yn llwy, ti ddywedo bod goleini'n yr hwyr, paid rhoi fyny ar y fori, cerdd ymlaen. A fydd ymdrech na ffaith, bachder I fo craith, a nôl ag idw'r daith mwyau gwerth. Dalinelli am yr eithaf emis, gall llwyddiannau bod yn fwy strai, a cerdd ymlaen, o cerdd ymlaen, gyda'r proffwyd, ildiau freuddwyd, cerdd amlan. Mae ffydd yn drech na ffaith, balchder i bob craith, a nodd ac i dyw'r daith mwyau gwerth. Mae'n ffordd tuag at nod yn hir a serth.
Welsh folk rock star and Baptist minister TECWYN IFAN and Paid rhoi fyny, don't give up. Well, describing the Prioress of Douglas, David Robertson says, she held courts in her own name, and from the Lord's court she frequently demanded her vassals and tried them by a jury of her own tenants. When such was her temporal authority, it may be presumed of her spiritual jurisdiction that, and here he quotes, here perchance a tyrant abbess reigned, who ruled the cloister with an iron rod. Well, it turns out this is a paraphrase from a poem called The Nun, an elegy by Edward Jerningham, 1737 to 1812. Jerningham was known for, shall we say, borrowing. Fanny Burney is quoted as saying of him, I've been reading his poems, if his they may be called. Anyway, Robertson paraphrases the first and last line of a quatrain, which makes up one of the verses of Jerningham's poem, and that verse actually runs like this. A tyrant abbess here perchance may reign, who fond of power affects the imperial nod, looks down disdainful on her female train, and rules the cloister with an iron rod. Hacher shoh, leis ebe smoo as leis burnach and skirra, chaus haien tre sha. Scronol ve na rawi giri cadla. Maso henk mi a chwstialirach. Hanelu giri gol de cadla? Chanel, tammy goil al. Goil al rosh gol de cadla? Cren fe, shen fore ta shin ulju gwier. Ah, chanel ma visu gurrumpin, de bech cadla ed ar hon, ko rau je achim. Rau je achim? Creus y teil taw menel. Ah, hasemus, oh, hasemus, as cho aglach as the shen. Ta ulju an anunid shoh chidorm, tre tammy cadla, der tammy goil al, year os munionair. Ach, man yin vai, fodder you cadla noch, tammy un shoh frel ara ort, as fodum cor gelden nach gin weg tachert. Oh, fodum tresh jail onad. Glak me en kei as doort me. Tammy cor gelden, maar tammy fagen fenisher bi jay drach astersen, niem doeste u chalirach. A multi-tracked Dave Moss, joined by guitarist Stephen Dodds on that piece, which was called Bridie's Farewell to Farewells.
Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn, sien the jarw radio fannin, as yn sio tasiw geis jachris Claare na Gael. She Robert Katinka rolt an enamorum, Robert a Carslach, mata.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
Gin? Oh, gin the fear. Craig a myers tau dus. Esh, nim cadla. As bunnes eg a fogel, renny liga mach orsna down facely, as renny sinkail na lie, as ish na cadla. Fut na heave am I frail ara ljorri. Gerenny moester, ach renny cadla mach and savine down cune for cor Bloavez a slent. Van a meilenek becken foslich, as ren na clew geary as tujum lesh a chingid je pendulum. Van munga an edenek, as bachtel vei na denkdrach aslichen erbij de vorre she en agniak. De mogen savora henken in a veilek, as deg me foon chormek, as hai me rom tai, noder au me neech me gaan immedi ridden. Hug me chelgram gierg as van Helsing as gesather, verginst down me gaan airtes fi via bashel jane obreid. An over empien, les jolju na immedi ridden na raugent, van kledden la kiaull. Now, despite the Prioress of Douglas's former importance, Robertson says, but every vestige of her magnificence and dignity has long since vanished, except the ruins of the convent where she once presided. And even these, when a few years have glided away, will also disappear. Every ornament of its former grandeur is now levelled with the ground. The mouldering walls are mantled with ivy. Cluttering wild flowers crown their summit, and the whole ruin, being shaded with aged trees, is at once gloomy and romantic. The modern building has an air of elegance superior to any other in the island. The gardens are spacious and luxuriant, and the surrounding fields, being highly cultivated and finely interspersed with woods and waters, present an exquisite landscape. In this charming retirement, once consecrated to piety, but now sacred to hospitality, Captain Tubman, the worthy proprietor, enjoys otium cum dignitate. And this translates as leisure with dignity. Gerard Lloyd Owen reads some of his own pennillion from a piece called A Gwladwr, the Patriot, and this is to a backing by Elwyn Williams on keyboards and bass and Gwyn Jones on drums, Gwlad a Kennedy.
Gwlad y Kennedy, o'i mawnog ymynais dy egni, a'i hunigedd yn hogi a'i hylarn, dy hylarn di. Aeth I hanial feith I neb I thenaid, a'i thyner wylltineb. Rhyw hyn sy'n wyr na wyr neb, ond a wyr fel di hareb. Aeth ani byniaeth styfni gybanau ei henwau dethol I ddesgyr yn dithau. Cefais ddewrder o erwair tir diffaith, ac anadlu iaith hen genedlaethau.
Gwlad y Keledi, Cheer and Doggers, the land of hardship, with the author Gerard Lloyd Owen reading some verses from one of his poems. Captain Tubman of the nunnery, says Robertson, is not more esteemed by strangers for his politeness and generosity than respected by the natives for his worth and benevolence. Well, now, of the nunnery, Mrs. Hannah Bullock's 1816 work, A History of the Isle of Man, mentions the seat of Major Tubman, called the nunnery, from the ancient structure formerly occupying the same site, but of which not a vestige remains, except a gateway still supporting the old bell, but now forming an entrance to the stables. The gardens and grounds have some beautiful features. For many years the whole has been without a rival, and travellers, finding nothing else to admire, have lavished more praise than it deserves on this spot, which certainly has many advantages in point of situation, but the scenery is disfigured by the erection of small houses, a mill, a warehouse, and even by 2 bleach fields, evermore spread with linens of different shades, all which are directly in front of the mansion. Ve dorige tref am I able de vraag me gaan mohorensach zo fegach. Smai van toeristel, ve kjun de loer is je leid engel sjaas regie. Henk Chelgram vai van Helsing ons Amsterdam gaus van mi Gael korlige dou de listen wij ons Hillingem nach, no voor de berge mai de weer gere, as greider au eschen vergeel jor je weder posli, as de berge merem mag ze worden. Al naio mijn vader, van mi ski de loer as Keayrt trek mi Hillingem, rish da I scoon was a wiener biem, as we me enien goltuicht gennachten am again shen, vis koude gemaakt sledden skiers inchen. Valusia gosh, as ons gien mai. Trer any cray lau merem, ich hi de geer me heden, as doorte, gin wij de hai douche der de hans nach, ta was skier trallu. Ta mish ledden vairish, ta mi de jaru. As me vis pech enjach de wei na hai doucht, she mish be me hai doucht merts. This now is a recording from 1941 of the Garton Mother's Lullaby. Garton is in the middle of Donegal. The singer is Barbara Mullen.
Sleep, oh babe, for the red bee hums, the silent twilight's fall. Eve, while from the cradle comes to wrap the world in thrall. Ali and Anu, my child, my joy, my love, my heart's desire. The crickets sing you lullaby beside the dying fire. Dusk is drawn and the green man's thorn is wreathed in rings of fog. Shivra sails his boat till morn upon the starry bog. Ali and Vanu, the pale moon, hath trimmed her cusp in dew, and weeps to hear the sad sleep tune I sing, O love, to you.
The Garton Mother's Lullaby, sung by Barbara Mullen. Now, she became well known as Janet, the Scottish housekeeper to Doctors Finlay and Cameron in the BBC's Dr Finlay's Casebook. However, she was born in Boston of Irish heritage. In fact, she was a champion Irish dancer in the US. Her father, Pat, played one of the shark hunters in the film Man of Arran. Barbara Mullen herself came to Ireland in 1938 and then went on to Britain to act on stage and in films, and, as we heard, also made a few recordings. Chraumi son argena me chion a chush, a chaimi as gaumi me chibber. Henk Lucy merem, as bliorit ag a fenish druachtach gi, va lunje fi vaier bastelem, as gaumi kubbel de glannach en Jane fin port, va skin vias. Eich, ren Lucy corlesh mi sus na griechen, as heilsi a dau shamer nebu dan fair ex, angi va ail sour laster. Nish, as ish, sign Dutch Tannachten and shoh. As we've noted before, when we were looking into the background of Thomas Stevens' A Poetical Guide to the Isle of Man, Mrs. Hannah Ann Bullock, could be pretty forthright in her views, and of Captain John Tubman's The Nunnery she writes, "The house is not more than a decent country seat, whose whitened walls are curiously finished by a cornice and bordering of deep red stone." We close with music by Breton band Ayon, music for a dance, an ante drôle. The dance is actually rather more relaxed than the music perhaps suggests here, but Ayon call this track Cabañera. 2 hours of the best chill-out music on their way with Chris Pearson between 7 and 9. And then at 9 o'clock, Judith Leigh will be here with Sundown. Achnish, signed and Corcion a Claare show. And so until the next time then, this is Robert Curtin Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve, I'm a creario, as Orcherlier, as my Yirian shared you will you.
Thank you.